She thought she was going on a trip, but none of them ever came back alive. In a dusty alleyway in Cocody, 3 young girls were laughing out loud. They dreamed of the future, of freedom, and of luxury. Their names were Fatime, Grace, and Mariam. They were inseparable, and at the heart of this trio was Marina, discreet, beautiful, and ambitious. She had sworn they would succeed together, leave the neighborhood, and change their lives. But she didn't yet know that one of them would take a path the others could never follow. Years later, Marina lives in Dubai. She carries Hermes bags, drives cars worth $500 million, and flaunts a dream life on social media. At first glance, she is the embodiment of modern success, an African success story. But what no one knows is that every stone of her empire is stained with blood. Every 5 moons, a girl under the age of 25 must die. That is the only condition. An ancient pact sealed in the silence of a golden desert, between the sand and the shadows. The disappearances follow one after another, yet no one connects the dots. A drowning, a domestic accident, a heart attack. Officially, nothing is amiss. But if you look closer, you'll see that every victim had one thing in common. They knew Marina. To this day, she continues her life unbothered and unjudged, protected by wealth, fear, and powers that defy human logic. But sometimes, late at night between 2 sponsored posts, she still hears their voices. The story you are about to hear is no fairy tale. In fact, it may be closer to reality than you imagine. To understand how Marina turned from innocence to horror, we must go back in time. Back to the beginning, in an ordinary alley. With ordinary dreams and a consuming thirst for wealth, Marina was 17 the last time she sat on a Cocody curb, knees tucked under her thin legs, a sachet of ice water in her hand. It was the kind of simple scene you'd never imagine in the biography of a future millionaire. But Marina was not like the others. In her eyes there was a void. Not sadness, not anger. Just a hollow, as if she were born with a hole inside her that no friendship could fill. Fatime, Grace, and Mariam, her 3 pillars, surrounded her. They shared everything. Meals, secrets, dreams. But there was one thing Marina didn't share. An obsession with leaving the neighborhood by any means necessary. On a computer at the local internet cafe, Marina discovered the first African influencers in Dubai. Their lives seemed surreal. Living in palaces surrounded by riches, traveling in private jets with men whose faces were never shown. One day she whispered to Fatime, "I want that life too, even if I have to lose something along the way." That day, she didn't yet know what she would lose. But what she was about to give would mark her life forever. At 20, Marina disappeared. Just one message in a WhatsApp group. "I'm going for training in Abidjan." 3 months later she reappeared. Physically transformed first. Surgery, lightened skin, straightened hair. But it wasn't the look that shocked her friends. It was her eyes. The void was gone, replaced by fire. She told them she had found contacts in Dubai and had to go back. When they asked how she financed it all, she just smiled and said nothing. That was when it all began. But what no one knew was that Marina had already made a choice. A pact. And that pact was about to claim its first offering very soon. Dubai, black desert. A moonless night. Marina is driven blindfolded in a luxury car. She thinks it's a standard initiation, but when she removes the blindfold, she stands before a tall, motionless man surrounded by candles. He says only, "Nothing is free. If you want to keep what you have, you must offer a young soul every 5 months. The first offering must be chosen from your heart. Someone close, or the pact fails." She doesn't answer, but she signs, with a finger dipped in the blood of a rooster. The sand absorbs everything and the spirit takes note. Back in Abidjan, Marina is silent, but the clock is ticking. The deadline approaches, and the choice becomes unbearable. He chooses Fatime. Not because she loves her the least, but because she is the sweetest, the one no one would ever suspect. Marina offers her a dream vacation. Paid flights, a 5-star hotel. Fatime jumps for joy. What Fatime doesn't know is that every minute of this trip was planned, not for her happiness, but for her death. They arrive in Dubai. Marina smiles, leading her through luxury boutiques, infinity pools, and private parties. Fatime posts oblivious stories. The trap closes. On the final day, they board a yacht for a private cruise. Marina pours 2 glasses of champagne. She looks at Fatime, then looks away. She cannot watch, but she has prepared everything. A moment of inattention, a wave, a fall. Fatime screams. Marina doesn't move. The body is recovered 2 hours later. The case is closed as an accidental drowning. The next day, Marina receives a transfer of $80,000. But it's not the money that haunts her. It's not even the death. It's the look in Fatime's eyes just before she fell, a look that asked, "Why?" That day, Marina realized one thing. It's not the death that weighs you down, it's the memory. And yet she would do it again and again and again. At this stage, Marina thought she could handle it. She believed money would cover everything. The remorse, the nightmares, the silence. But she didn't foresee that the next sacrifice would be even more painful because it would involve another childhood friend. And this time, it wouldn't be a fall or an accident. This time, it would be a slow and terribly silent death. Marina now lives in a tower overlooking the sea. Every morning, she wakes up in $3,000 sheets, but she hardly sleeps anymore. Since Fatime's death, strange things have been happening. First the nightmares, then the signs. One evening, alone in her dressing room, she hears a voice, barely a breath. Why? She thinks it's her imagination and gives a nervous laugh. But turning to her mirror, she sees something. A silhouette behind her, quick, then gone. The pact is not over. The 5 months are almost up. And this time, the victim will be Grace. Grace, the most joyful one, who used to call Marina my light when they were young. The one who cried when Marina sent her money from Dubai, believing she was helping out of kindness. Marina hesitates for a long time, too long. But the deadline is fixed. The deadline never changes. She remembers the old man's words in the desert. If you miss the deadline, you will be the one to pay, and the debt will multiply. So Marina invites her once more. Same pattern, same smile, same promise. Grace accepts. Course she accepts. Who would refuse a week in Dubai, all expenses paid? But this time Marina wants to change the plan. She can't stand to watch another death. So she delegates. She contacts a cleaner, as they are called in that world. He will take care of everything. She will only have to look away. Mariam arrives in Dubai like a child in a fairy tale. She has never left the continent. Everything is a marvel. The buildings, the self-driving taxis, the scents in the malls. Marina smiles, but her eyes betray something else. A dull fear, a void. The 5 months are almost up, yet this time she hesitates. Not like before. Not a doubt, but a visceral terror. Because since Grace, things have changed. The voices are clearer, the shadows longer. She hears knocking on her door when she's alone. She receives calls from no number, just the sound of breathing. She smells salt water in her room, as if the dead refused to be forgotten. If she sacrificed Mariam, what would she have left? And if this time it wasn't a pact, but a condemnation? What Marina doesn't know yet is that the real trap isn't for Mariam. It's for her. They go out. Normal days, perfect appearances. But every night Marina pushes it back. She delays. She invents excuses, she lies. Mariam feels it. Something is wrong. One night she dares to ask, "Are you okay, Marina? You seem miles away." Marina doesn't answer. Then the night of the 5th month arrives. Midnight. Exactly. Marina feels a pressure on her chest. Physical, heavy, as if someone is sitting on her. She gets up, sweating, opens the shutters. Nothing. But in the mirror she sees them behind her. Fatime, then Grace. No screaming, no blood, just a look. Cold. Motionless. "It's your turn now." Marina tries to flee. She runs through the hallways, calls her Marabou. No answer. She tries to cancel the pact, to offer something else. Money, jewelry, an animal. But the rules are simple. The pact was signed in blood, and it knows only one language. The soul. The next day, Miriam finds Marina slumped in the living room. Pale, hysterical, she is talking to herself, whispering names, pleading with someone invisible. Miriam thinks she's possessed. She calls an imam urgently, but when he enters, he freezes. He says only, "This is not possession. This is a calling." The following night, Marina disappears. No explanation, no message. Her phone, her papers, everything is still there. But no Marina. Miriam panics. She calls the Dubai police. They investigate. Nothing. No trace, no footage of her leaving the building. A week later, the hotel receives an anonymous envelope. Inside is a photo. It shows Marina in the desert, eyes open, frozen like a statue. Behind her are 3 blurred shadows and a symbol carved in the sand. That symbol was exactly the same as the one from the very first ceremony. The same, except this time it was inverted. The photo is analyzed. No editing. Marina is officially missing. But some witnesses in the desert souks claim to have seen a woman wandering at night in silence. She doesn't speak. She doesn't eat. But she cries. She cries without tears. Officially, Marina is a missing person. Unofficially, she is a prisoner of a pact she thought she controlled. And while other young girls still dream of glory in Dubai, an invisible but omnipresent truth floats in the air. Some luxuries are paid for with souls, and in that market, nothing is erased. Everything is reclaimed. Even years later. 3 years later, a new influencer is making waves. Her name is Lella. Stylish, discreet, charismatic. Her videos are exploding. Her Instagram page triples in followers every month. Her slogan is simple: silence attracts more than noise. But what no one knows is that Lella grew up in the same neighborhood as Marina, and their stories cross in a way much darker than anyone believes. A few days after Marina's disappearance, Miriam returned to Abidjan, traumatized. She no longer speaks of Dubai, she no longer posts anything, but she kept something. A USB drive found in Marina's belongings. On it were videos, photos, audio recordings, and above all, a never-before-seen video. Marina sits before a camera, her face marked and red. She speaks. "If you are watching this, it's because I am no longer here and you are looking for the truth." She explains everything. The pact, the deaths, the dates, the names. And above all, she says one sentence that changes everything. There is a list. A list of targeted women, each linked to the other by blood, friendship, or secrets. And after me will come the one I wanted to protect, but whom I cursed without knowing. Lella receives an anonymous message. Not a text, but a photo. The one of Marina, the same one sent to the hotel. But this time, the blurred silhouette behind her is clear. It is Lella. How is it possible? They never met. And yet, Lella recognizes the necklace around Marina's neck. It's the one her mother wore until her death 15 years ago. It wasn't Marina who triggered the pact. It was her mother. Lella is the direct heir. The true price had not yet been paid. Lella begins to see things. Women in reflections, muffled screams in her headphones, night calls with her own voice. Then one night, a shadow appears in her room. It doesn't speak. It just hands her a paper. On it a date and a name, Miriam. Since her return, Miriam has changed everything. New city, new name, new life. But some things never truly leave you alone. She often has the same nightmare. An empty room, a mirror, and Marina whispering to her, "You didn't stop me, so now you must pay." Lella decides to find Miriam. She thinks if she warns her, she will break the circle. She flies to Senegal, finds her in a coastal village, but upon seeing her, she realizes something is wrong. Miriam doesn't seem surprised. She just says, "I knew you would come." And then she invites her in. A dark room, candles, symbols. Lella panics. But it's too late. You think you're next, but you are the ultimate. The screen goes black. A final sentence is heard. Not from Miriam, not from Lella, but from Marina. A recording. No one survives the last name, for the last one is the one that closes the book. And in this world, even the survivors are offerings. Some stories don't have happy endings. Some truths are too ancient to be erased. And some women are sacrificed without anyone ever knowing. But one thing is certain. When you open a door to the invisible, it is never you who decides when it closes. Slow, silent shot. Lella is no longer visible. Her Instagram account still exists, but no more stories, no more reels. Just one pinned post. A simple quote in white text on a black background. I didn't want to, but it was already too late. Internet users comment. It's an ad campaign. Another fake suicide. I think she's preparing a comeback. But those who knew Marina know. Those who knew Miriam stay silent. And those who have approached that list of cursed names disappear from the scene one after the other. In the universe of Pax, everything is always foreseen. Even the fall, even the disappearance, and even the resurgence. Because 3 months after Lella's silence, a new page appears on social media. Name Naya. Content that is darker, more viral, more inexplicable. And in one of her first videos, blurred in the background, a mirror is visible. In that mirror, briefly, is the face of Marina. This is no longer a story of sacrifice. It is a loop. And it is starting again.